Well, hello there, strangers. Long time no see. It's not my usual habit to turn this channel into a video diary, but today I'm going to break the rule for a couple of reasons. The first one is, tomorrow is my birthday, and I can do what I want. I'm turning 41, which coincidentally is the same age as the title character in the greatest sitcom of all time, Frasier. He was 41 when the show premiered, and that's really quite mind-blowing to me because I've been watching that show and enjoying it since I was about 16 in high school. And also because I've received a number of emails from kind viewers asking variations on the question, where the hell are you and where did you go? Well, the answer is, I'm no longer in my home or my studio in Johannesburg. You catch me at the moment between England and France. Not in the water, there are little islands, dots of land in between. I'm on the island of Jersey. And if you have, say, England up here and France down here, Jersey is right off the coast of France, yet due to a series of strange events in history, Jersey belongs to the UK. Well, almost. The way that this works, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, is that it falls under the monarchy, but not the government. So the Queen of England is the Queen of Jersey, but Westminster is not in charge of Jersey because Jersey has its own government. The island in total is 9 by 6 miles, and it's absolutely stunning. It's a beautiful little place. So the reason for that, there are in fact there's a layering of reasons for why we are here at the moment. The first causal link was that my wife was offered a high-level position with Deloitte, and it came completely out of the blue. She was actually headhunted, to her great credit, and we took a look at this offer and we thought, well, it's too good to refuse. And the speaking industry had, of course, been decimated by the COVID lockdowns, but as it opens up again, I can travel to any venue on earth and speak, regardless of where I'm based, and of course I can do online and virtual events. And from the writing perspective, it doesn't matter where you are. One of the great assets of a writing career is that you can do it from anywhere. Now, that's part 2 of the layering of reasons for why I haven't done any YouTube videos in the last few months and what we're doing here. Just before we left, I received an email from Penguin giving me some exceptionally cool news. Now, as you may know, I've had some 10 business and self-help and personal growth books published with Penguin. I've also had a couple of other books published by one group called Ambassador in the United States and a publisher in South Africa prior to starting with Penguin. So 12 books in total. Now, just as we were about to leave, Penguin have given me the news that they have accepted my first novel. I started dreaming of writing novels and being a novelist at about the age of 9, when I first took a copy of Misery off a bookstore shelf, Stephen King. And my wife says that explains a lot about why I am the way I am today. And this year, I got the yes from Penguin, and the first novel will be published in January in 2022. So that will come out in under 2 months from now. Now, that's no reason in and of itself to have stopped doing the daily YouTube videos, but what then happened is, on the heels of that success, I submitted my second novel. I had it ready to go, and they gave me a tentative yes for that one as well. Now, what on earth is a tentative yes? Allow me to explain. I'm glad you asked. What happens is they first send it out to a professional reader, and the reader gives their opinion on whether or not they think this is a viable project. And the reader came back with a very positive response. They give high praise for the novel. So it then went to their editorial committee. The editorial committee in turn said yes, and it still now has to go to the financing committee. So pending their yes, that would be novel number 2. Now, of course, the way that I then looked at this entire scenario was, if I have a novel accepted and a second one ready for publication with a tentative yes, and they're likely to come out within about 6 months of each other, then I should keep going. And what a writer requires above all is time. So what I did was I used the time that we moved over here and things were a little unsettled and so forth, and I wasn't doing as much work for my regular clients because of the lockdowns. I used that time to write novel number 3 and to get into novel number 4. I'm currently 85,000 words into novel number 4. For the writers among us, 85,000 words is a novel, but this will be quite a big one. I'm looking at somewhere in the region of 130k by the time I'm done. Let's pause there and actually speak to the writers. The first one is fairly small, 42,000 words. The title is The Man Who Never Was. And The Man Who Never Was is a mind-blowing, strange little tale of a character who dies in the first scene. And it gets weirder from there. It is, I think and I hope, an exceptionally moving little story. Certainly it brought tears to the writer's eyes a couple of times, and I'm rather proud of it. I hope you will enjoy it. The Man Who Never Was comes out in January. Then after that, novel number 2 is a massive sprawling thriller set in Scotland and Texas and parts of the United States, and it's called Character Scan. It's slightly sci-fi-ish. Novel number 3 is titled House of the Judas Goat, which I think is possibly the best title of all time. I'm biased, but I love it. House of the Judas Goat. And novel number 4, the one that I'm working on right now, will be quite a big one, and it's tentatively titled The Caravan in the Swamp. And I'll tell you more about those as we go along. But that's what I've been working on. So I've spent the last 6 months or so writing 2 new novels. That is in addition to a little bit of virtual work and the occasional conference and so forth. Now, while we've been here on this island of Jersey, we've also done a great deal of exploring, and I'll tell you a little bit about the island itself. It has a couple of interesting accolades. Number 1, it has the fastest internet speed on the planet, so yay for that. Number 2, and perhaps more ominously, it has the second fastest incoming tide on the planet. And it's very interesting to see how dangerous that can be. My little 4-year-old and I were down at the beach, and we were just, at the water's edge, so perfectly safe as the tide was coming in. And there's this beautiful castle, it's called Elizabeth Castle, and the tide comes in around it, and they have these amphibious buses. When the tide is out, they drive you across the sand to the castle. When the tide is in, they float you across to the castle. It's really quite cool to watch. And right at the water's edge, they have a rock pool. The rock pool is defined by a U-bend of simple rocks, and you can walk across the top of this ledge. So as the tide was coming in, my son and I did this. Now, it's very small. You can scan it visually in one go. You can walk across it in a minute and a half. When we set out, the water was about that low beneath the line of the ledge. By the time we got around to the other side, it was over our feet. And it just gives you the sort of ominous warning about how bad that can be and how quickly you can get into trouble. The place itself, the first thing that people from my nation, from South Africa, will ask is it better? Well, the answer is it's different. And in some ways, it's much better, and in some ways, it lacks the things that we have in South Africa. And I'll just give you a couple of quick examples of that. The wonderful thing, and I think this is close to home for most South Africans, certainly, is there's virtually no crime. You're absolutely safe. Your kids can go wandering around. You don't worry about violent crime. There simply is none. Nothing worth speaking of anyway. The other things are the beauty of the beaches. The place itself is sort of quaint and ye olde English and just absolutely stunning. The education levels are wonderful as well. My 4-year-old has started school. He started learning letters at the age of 4. I was 6 before I went into grade 1 in South Africa. He's already starting to spell out little combinations of letters. Funny thing about that, most of or a great deal of the workforce here is comprised of immigrants from different countries, from South Africa, from Poland, and a lot from Portugal. But the kids pick up the accent so quickly, and that has some very humorous results. In the morning, I drop Mikey off or pick him up in the afternoon from school, and you'll have a mom speaking to her son with a strong Portuguese accent, and she'll say, "Okay, Luca, da 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 da," and she gives him these instructions, and little Luca will look up and go, "Okay, mummy." It's going to happen to us as well. I'm going to have a little 4-year-old going, "Okay, daddy, yes, mummy," and we'll clap him upside the head and say "Yeah, go, good." So there are wonderful things about this island, but of course there are the things that you miss. First and foremost, the one that I've most noticed is just massive open spaces. South Africa is a little like a place like Texas in that sense, in that you have huge highways, massive open roads. You can get onto a highway and you can drive through desert and semi-desert. You can drive through what looks like rainforest. You can drive for miles and you'll have these open horizons and vistas with rolling land and long sort of stretches of grass and veld leading up to rolling mountains. Here there are no horizons. It is as built up as it can possibly be. And they've done a few things, of course, to reclaim land and to build more, but it is extremely tightly packed. It is apparently 3 times as congested as the UK mainland. So UK at the moment is sitting at around some 66 million people. And apparently they would have to have 3 times that number of people to have the level of congestion and people per capita, or sort of per area of landmass, unit of landmass, in order to have the same density as the island of Jersey. So you do very much go to gym and walk around and it's sort of elbows everywhere, but you get used to it very quickly and people are polite, so it works. To the bottom of my heart, I think the thing that I miss most and that most brings a tear to my eye is wimpy breakfasts. I'd kill for a wimpy breakfast. Just sitting in a beautiful restaurant, nicely done out with bacon and eggs in front of you, and you don't have to sit elbow to elbow with other people in a tiny diner or a little tea room. They do have rough equivalents here. You can get a bacon and egg breakfast, but it's in very tight spaces. And generally speaking, they will add half a can of beans to your plate. I have no idea why, but the plate comes like swimming in beans. I suppose you get used to it eventually. There are things you miss, but by and large, we're having an absolute blast here. And I think one of the keys to that is when you go to a new place, you go there to integrate as much as you can, to enjoy it on its own terms, to be a part of what's going on there. What you don't do is to go as a resentful emigree wishing that you could recreate your own little bubble there. So we've decided not to do that. We're enjoying taking Mikey to school, we're loving the accents, meeting people and so forth. And in terms of my own speaking career, I've largely put that on hold over the course of the move with the writing of the books and so forth. But I've just recently now started doing the sorts of things that I recommend on this channel for aspiring entrepreneurs and new business owners. I recently contacted the Chamber of Commerce, a digital business association, an ethics business association, and a few others, and I've offered to present for them free of charge for the first time, in order to show what I can do, in order to meet people, in order to start creating that word of mouth where people start to say, oh, you know who you should talk to about that. So early days on that one, but I am doing the thing that I always recommend. And when I go and speak there, I'll do one of my 2 most popular topics, which are rule breaking for innovation, for a strategic advantage, and expert positioning, how to distinguish yourself as a standout name. Nevertheless, I'm kind of doing it a little in slow-mo because I'm writing the books. I want to get book number 4 completed before the end of this year. And I also then want to start with a little bit of PR for book novel number 1. And that's obviously going to be important in January. I will probably do updates on this channel, if you're interested, on the progress of the books. And certainly in January, when the novel comes out, I'll be in front of you recommending it, telling you all about it. I'll do the audio version of the book as well. I'll record that over the next couple of weeks. But that sort of begs the question, where to for this channel? And the honest answer is I'm not sure at the moment. I'm not able to keep up the daily motivational videos. And as a result of the lockdowns and sort of starting again here, I don't have any new material in which I'm speaking in front of live audiences. So rather than belabor it and take up the time I could be using to create novels, I've simply put it on hold for now. But we shall see. Hopefully I will have new material to share with you. Perhaps what I can even do is dissect some of my own journey here, relaunching a career in a new place, publicizing the novels and so forth, and share some of the tips and insights into that with you, and I'd be very happy to do that. So that's where I am. If you do get a chance, pop onto YouTube and look up the Channel Island of Jersey. It's a lovely little place, a very, very charming, tiny little island, and that's where we are for the foreseeable future, and we shall see what comes of it. As of now, it's now the 4th of November, so I've got a month and a few days, almost 2 months left, to record the audio version of The Man Who Never Was. That will be available globally. The text, the print version, will certainly be available in South Africa and hopefully in other nations, but that's a hard one to judge in advance. And the ebook version should be available worldwide as well. So novel number 1 and number 2 tentatively accepted. I'm working on numbers 3 and 4. Hope things are going well in your world. I hope that the lockdowns haven't murdered your business. I think it's time for them to end now. I think it's been time for that for a very, very long period already. I will say that it's interesting to see how sensible the people are on the island of Jersey. We are not compelled to wear masks anymore. We haven't done lockdowns in ages. People are walking about absolutely freely. And the hospitalization rate is exceptionally low. The mortality rate is pretty much nothing. The mortality rate is pretty much nothing everywhere in the world, but they don't tell you that. Nevertheless, they've been handling it extremely sensibly here. The Minister for Education also said we're not going to put them on kids because it makes no difference. The kids don't need them. It's not safe for them. It's not healthy for them. It's not good for their development. So we're not doing it. God bless them for having a little common sense on that one. I hope life is treating you well. If you'd like to say hi, won't you please just drop a little comment in the comment box. If you are interested in more information on writing of novels, word counts, dealing with editors, things like that, please just ask the questions in the comment section. It lets me know what you want to see, what you want to hear, and so forth. And perhaps we can even do a video on things like how to work with a copy editor, how to get the most value out of every stage in the process of writing and publishing either a non-fiction book or now, because I've done it for the first time, a fictional novel. That's where I am, and I hope you're doing well as well. God bless and take care.